Today, bonus episode. I apologize. It was supposed to be yesterday, but I didn't get back until later than I thought I would. Anyway, today we're going to talk about 5 1950s cars that are totally underrated. And then we're going to do 5 1950s cars that are super overrated. This episode is mostly based on my opinion. These aren't in any particular order until like maybe the last one. So here we go. But before we get started, welcome to What It's Like. This channel, we feature the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars that are off the beaten path. If that sounds like a channel that you'd be interested in watching, subscribe. Turn on the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. 2 more things I just thought of. If you'd like to contact me for any reason whatsoever, best way is to comment in the comment section. Or we made a What It's Like Facebook group that correlates with this channel. You could show off your rides. You could post anonymously if you wanted to, if you'd like to keep your identity private. That's a thing on the site. Okay, on to the most underrated cars of the 1950s. Comments welcome too. Post a comment in the comment section if you totally agree or if you disagree or if you came up with a car in your own mind that you think is underrated or overrated. Okay, on to the list. 1955 Packard Caribbean. This was, in my opinion, Packard's swan song. Made for the years 1955 and 1956. It was a convertible as well as sold as a 2-door hardtop. Yes, it was expensive. It started at $5,495 and could go up to $6,000, which would be equivalent to you spending $59,920 all the way up to $65,439.40. That sure is a lot of money! But it was a lot of car. First convertible to offer air conditioning as an option. In 1955, it was powered by the 352 V8. It made 275 brake horsepower. In 1956, Packard bored the 352 out to 374, and then it made 310 brake horsepower. But the best feature has to be the torsion bar suspension. I know other car companies use torsion bars, but these were power operated. Leno has a great video showing how they work. He sat on one end of the car and the car actually leveled itself. These are rare. They only made 500 in 1955, 263 in 1956, and those were 2-door hardtop models. During both years, they only produced 276 convertibles. Up next, 1959 AMC Rambler Ambassador cross-country wagon. Man, that's a mouthful. But this is my favorite wagon from the 1950s. Seats will fold flat into a bed. It gets 32 miles per gallon with the 6-cylinder on the highway, and in my opinion, the looks are absolutely gorgeous. The Ambassador is a hardtop, so it's pillarless. Also, the Ambassador is longer than the standard Rambler cross-country wagon. If power was more your style instead of economy, AMC offered 327 cubic inch displacement V8, which came out a whole 5 years before Chevy's version did. Power on tap was up to 270 horsepower, 0 to 60, 7.9 seconds. In an economy wagon in the 1950s, it costs $2,881, which would be equivalent to you spending $28,938.31 in the year 2022. All right, moving on. 1957 Rambler Rebel. This car, if one saw this car in the wild, it really doesn't look all that special. But let me tell you, it is. Because underneath the hood was AMC's 327 V8, which made 255 brake horsepower, which really doesn't sound like a lot, but this car could go 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. I've seen as low as 7 seconds, 7.5 seconds. This is a 4-door car in the 1950s. To put this in perspective about how fast this car was, 1957 Chrysler 300C goes 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. 1957 Ford Thunderbird with a 312 Y-block V8 does it in 8.6 seconds. 1957 Chevy Corvette with a 283 V8 with a 3-speed manual does it in 7.6 seconds. This was one of the fastest cars of the 1950s, but the sad thing is nobody even really knows it exists. For example, if you were to ask the average car person what is the fastest car the United States made in the 1950s, your answer would probably be Chrysler 300 or Corvette, maybe Thunderbird. Somebody might say Studebaker. Nobody knows that this car exists. It cost $2,786, which was equivalent to you spending $28,979.95. There was only 1,500 of these made total, so they're super rare. The other thing is all of them are gray with an orange stripe. All right, we're down to the top two, or the final two. 1958 Edsel Citation. I honestly believe that this car was way ahead of its time, and it has aged like fine wine. I first saw this car at age 13, 14 in model form at Walmart, back when Walmart was cool. I thought it was the ugliest car I ever saw, but I wanted to know more about it. So after learning about the car, it really grew on me, and it's totally different than anything that was on offer in 1958. Let me break it down for you real quick. We're going to leave the Edsel wagons out of this whole thing. Edsel came in Junior Series, that was the Ranger and the Pacer, and Senior Series, Corsair and Citation. Junior, Ranger, and Pacer rode a shorter wheelbase, 118 inches, and they were 213 inches long, while the Senior, Corsair, and Citation series rode a longer 124-inch wheelbase and was 218.9 inches long. The Edsel Citation and the Corsair were packing underneath the hood. Under the hood was a 410 cubic inch displacement MEL engine, which made 345 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in this 4,311 pound beast of a car. Was an impressive, but it was only impressive with a 3-speed stick, 7.4 seconds. Teletouch did it in 9.4 seconds. This is at the top of my list. This is the most underrated 1950s car that I think is out there, and that is the 1957 or 1958 Studebaker Golden Hawk. I have always loved the styling of this car. They are just gorgeous at every angle. I really love the fins. I never sat in one until maybe a week ago when I did that 56 Golden Hawk video for the channel. Sitting position sold me. By far the best seating position of any 1950s car that I've been in. And for the channel, I've been in 35 1950s cars so far. It's comfortable, it's roomy. For 2 doors, it's unbelievable. There's even room in the back with a center armrest. It's also powered by Studebaker's 289 V8, which makes 275 supercharged horsepowers. If you followed the channel for a while, you know that I don't get to drive all of these cars for the channel. When I tell you I am just a regular guy, I'm telling you the honest to God truth. I am just a regular guy that goes to different dealers and asks to shoot like mini documentaries of them. Trust me, I would love to drive all of these cars, but the short answer is I can't. Okay, on to the cars. 5 cars I think are super overrated. Now, you guys could send me comments in the comment section if I got any of these wrong or right. I'm looking for a debate. It'd be great. Anyway, any Corvette ever made. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Corvettes, but I've been to shows where that's all that were there. To be fair, it's usually the later years than the 1950s Corvettes, but I couldn't come up with 5, so this was my 5th one. But to be fair, let's talk 50 through 59 Corvettes. I got all of these cons from the Complete Book of Collectible Cars, Blue Chip Auto Investment, 70 Years from 1930 to 2000 by Richard M. Langworth and the Auto Editors of Consumer Guide. So the Corvettes, they are tight to get into. There's not a whole lot of room. They are expensive. They have high maintenance costs on higher performers. They could be overpowered and underbraked. All right, moving on. 1955 through 1957, Ford Thunderbird. Okay, I absolutely love the styling of all 3 of these Thunderbirds. The problem is, at 6'2", I did not fit in the car. The seating position is just weird, and I'm going to try to explain it the best that I can possibly explain it. So, the seat There's a power seat. They offered a power seat, but if the power seat is all the way down at the bottom position, it is literally on the floor. It is like a cushion. It's a really nice padded cushion. Like, I don't want to make it sound like it's a cushion that you put on your swing outside. It's a lot fancier than that, but it's legitly, it's only about 2.5, maybe 3, maybe 4 inches tall. That's it. The other thing is with the floor. The floor is not tubbed out enough where the seat is to be comfortable enough. Like, for example, Ford uses the same formula in the 67 Mustang, but it works in the 67 Mustang because the seat is a lot higher off the ground than 4 inches or 2 inches or whatever it is. This seat cushion is legitly on. The floorboards don't slant down far enough for it to be comfortable. You're legitly sitting on the floor when you drive the Thunderbird. The visibility is great. I drove it. The problem is like, my seat was all the way to the floor, and I was hunched over with my knees almost touching the bottom of the dashboard trying to drive it. I kid you not, there is more space in a Metropolitan than there is in a Ford Thunderbird. It's easier to get into, it's easier to get out of. There is a back seat for children to ride in. You don't get that in the Thunderbird. It's a 2-person car, and I just think that they're vastly overrated. The other thing is they're coming down in value like a rock. Like, a couple years ago, 55, 56, 57 Thunderbirds sold anywhere between $35,000 and $50,000, but now they're selling for mid-20s. Meanwhile, here, I gotta put this in here. Ford Model A. You could get a 4-door Ford Model A. Now, I'm talking, this is like bottom, basement, Murphy or Briggs body, 4-door, you know, made a ton of them. The same time that the Thunderbird was selling for 35, 50 grand, the Model A 4-doors, you know, Murphy Briggs was selling for $5,000. Now you can't touch one of those for about 14 grand. Cars was like the stock market. It's hard to decipher which car is going to do well and years because it could be totally different. Like, Model A could drop tomorrow and the Thunderbirds go up in value. And this happens across the board with everything. All the cars, like muscle cars might be hot one day, and then early Chevys might be hot, you know, a couple weeks later or something like that, and there's no rhyme or reason about it. Okay, moving on. I wasn't going to put this one on the list, but it has to be here. Don't hate me, but the Continental Mark II. And here's why. It was the most expensive car in America. I got told by this guy in the comment section saying that I don't have a right to say that that was tacked on, and I don't know anything about design, but I've been in 3550s cars this year, so, and good interior versus a bad interior, and the quality of the interior was really nice. The quality of the car was really nice. I just don't think that it was worth the money that they were charging for it back in the day, and I think that's why it needs to be on this list. Is it a good car? Yes. A lot of people said that it was an excellent car. I love the styling of it. I'm a huge Continental Mark II fan, but I think that the price tag when it was brand new was overrated. Okay, moving on to the top position that needs to be at the top of this list. 1957 Chevys. The 150s, the Del Reys, 210, Bel Air. In my opinion, and it hurts to say this because this was the car that started it all for me. This was the car that I saw first and I was like, wow, one day I want to have that car. But you just see, they're so common and there's nothing really that special about them. I mean, you could get a 283 fuel injection one that made 1 horsepower per cubic inch, and that's kind of cool, but they are everywhere. I guess you can lump the 55 and 56 in there with them. They are legitly everywhere, and it's not to say that I don't like the cars. The cars are cool. It's just, no offense if you have any of these cars that I think are overrated. I think all the cars are cool. I just like to see a little bit more scenery than Corvettes at car shows, that's all. All right, thank you guys so much for everything, and till next time, toodaloo!